The fans might have already noticed that Athena isn't exactly a mother who would cuddle her children, and we didn't even meet her in the show yet. Unfortunately, Annabeth has got the shortest stick of all her children, which leaves her with many parental issues, but the actual reason why Athena hates Annabeth is heartbreaking. To say that the demigods in the Percy Jackson franchise don't have an easy life would be an understatement. They have to live with ADHD and dyslexia because their brains are specially developed to easily understand Greek and have all senses screaming at them when they're in possible danger. They also have to train to be ready to fight different monsters, which will often come after them. The life expectancy also isn't very high with the enormous number of dangerous situations they might encounter. And all of that is just because one of their parents is a Greek god or goddess who had to have an affair with a mortal. The fact that they struggle to stay alive without much help is beyond concerning. The half-bloods can't even get in touch with their parents because of the ancient laws which prohibit the gods from directly interfering in their child's life. The only way to communicate with their godly parents is through offerings, where they can pray to them. Another chance to spot their parents is when the camp is visiting Olympus during council, but that's not enough for children who crave parental love and approval. The first example of the struggle is Percy's relationship with his father Poseidon. Percy was brought up by a loving parent, his mother Sally, who did everything possible for him. She even married Gabe Ugliano to protect him from the monsters and cracked the code to making perfect blue food, which shouldn't be possible. Not many demigods can say that they were brought up in a loving family, and Annabeth is sadly no exception. Percy thought his whole life that his father had lost in the sea, which is more true than he could realize at the time. The moment he steps to the camp, he's told that he has a godly father who's alive and perfectly well. Percy quickly concludes that Poseidon doesn't care about him. If he did, he'd show up and help him and his mother from the difficult situation they're in. What's more, Percy doesn't agree with the fact that suddenly Poseidon claims him because he needs Percy to clear his name by returning Zeus's lightning bolt to Olympus and prevent the war. He even refuses the quest and basically tells Chiron good luck with looking for the volunteers because it won't be him. The only reason he later accepts is his mother, whom he can save during the quest. Percy doesn't have a high opinion of his father and expects nothing from him. That's why he's so flabbergasted when he survives the fall from the arch after the fight with Chimera. He is saved by his father by pulling him into the nearest river, and one of the river spirits says that Poseidon is really proud of him, which makes him feel conflicted. But Percy is still the forbidden child, which wasn't supposed to be born, as he's a son of the big three and too powerful for his own good. That's at least what the others say about him, and that will play a big part in the future when the gods will be voting about whether to let him stay alive. What's more, it's not only Poseidon and Athena that are keeping their children at arm's length. When Percy comes for the first time to the camp, he doesn't know his divine father, which means he has to stay in Hermes' cabin, who takes not only his children but every unclaimed demigod that finds themselves in the camp. In the show, we could see the number of beds and people in the cabin. Percy literally had to sleep on the floor because there was no space left. Hermes has many children, but this is a lot, which means many of the demigods were in the camp for a while and still no god claimed them. It's no wonder that after a while, people start to resent their parents, and those who actually interacted with their godly parent were heavily disappointed. The first example is Luke, who begged his father to give him a quest, which made him resent his father even more. With the story evolving, we're about to see what Hermes' ignorance will cause, and the number of demigods that will agree with him won't be surprising. The show is doing a good job of portraying gods more than just gray characters. In the first episodes, we could see their true intentions for demigods. An example can be the moment when Percy comes to the camp and meets Mr. D, better known as Dionysus, who pretends to be his father just to get Percy to get him wine. He didn't even consider Percy's feelings, but he straight up lied to him just to have power over him. The whole interaction illustrated how the gods see the demigods only as the key to achieving their will and all that gods can't do without their children. This is a moment when Percy gets a valuable life lesson to never trust the gods. Athena is a goddess who has to follow the ancient rules and knows better than to interfere in demigods' lives, but she at least can acknowledge her children, which cannot be said about every god. During the train ride, Annabeth explained that once Athena finds a great mind, she blesses them with a child which is born from her thoughts, as she's a virgin goddess. Annabeth was one of these children given to Frederick Chase, who charmed the goddess. The children are supposed to be treasured by the mortal, which Annabeth was, at least for a while until her father didn't marry another woman and had other children. The situation Annabeth found herself in wasn't ideal, and it was worse as her stepmother resented her. With nothing to lose, 7-year-old Annabeth decided to run away because she couldn't stay there, and Athena didn't help directly. She was looking out for her, but she still barely fought the monsters. Without Luke and Thalia, Annabeth wouldn't make it to the camp. While in camp, Annabeth did everything possible to impress her mother, train, and become the head of her cabin, but the glory and her mother's approval were supposed to come with the quest. The one time Athena cared, Annabeth got the cap from her that could turn her invisible and saved her life several times. But Annabeth is touchy about the topic of her parents, which is not surprising. When Percy asks Annabeth if she can reach out to her mother and ask for help, she nearly punches him because of how stupid that question is from her point of view. From that, we can only see the mother-daughter relationship worsen, but the last nail to the coffin is when Percy sends Medusa's head to Olympus, which was supposed to be a cheeky offering from him to the gods. Athena sees it as an embarrassment of her person in front of the whole of Olympus, and even though Annabeth hasn't really participated in the act, she still lets him do it without any real protest. This simple thing made Athena do something unthinkable for a normal parent. Instead of protecting Annabeth and her friends in the arch, she endangered their lives by letting Echidna and Chimera in, which normally wouldn't be possible. The show already made changes to the original story from novels, and this is one of them, as in the books, the arch wasn't a temple, and Athena did nothing to punish Annabeth. But all of that was because her pride was hurt, and Athena is nothing if not prideful. Many fans were joking that Athena let Poseidon outparent her in that episode as he helped his child and didn't make the situation worse. But that scene set in the arch gave us an interesting parallel to Medusa's story. Medusa was punished by Athena for the actions of Poseidon, and he was left without any consequences. The same happened to Annabeth with Poseidon's son, who also wasn't the one punished for his actions. Medusa also made a comparison between her and Annabeth. Both of them worshipped the goddess and did everything that Athena wanted from them. They both tried to impress her, and they got nothing from her in return, just more pain and disappointment. As one Twitter user wrote, "They're born from thought versus born from love is so crazy. Annabeth believes in Athena her whole life and she betrays her. Percy refuses to believe in Poseidon and he saves him." Another change in the mother-daughter relationship can be seen in the Tunnel of Love, while Annabeth is trying to save Percy from the Golden Throne instead of running away. When Hephaestus gives her a way out, she refuses to leave without Percy. She turned away the glory and Athena's approval that awaited her after successfully completing the task without Percy, which was something she craved her whole life. While she's worriedly trying to do anything to save him, she tells the god that she has no interest in being like the rest of their family and essentially her mother. Hephaestus is so interested in her opinions and determination that he chooses to promise that he'll put a good word on Annabeth to Athena. Besides that, Athena has more reasons to dislike her own daughter. Athena is a very hard parent to please, and while Annabeth will become at some point her pride, she has to come a long way for that moment and do unthinkable actions. But Athena's love won't last forever, and Annabeth will be the scapegoat. In the next series, Heroes of Olympus, their difficult relationship resurfaces again. More particularly in the Mark of Athena, she tasks Annabeth with her own quest to find something that was lost for centuries all alone. Many of Athena's children were put on the same quest, but none of her children were successful in retrieving the object. But Athena is too cruel to her daughter during the quest, and her words cut in deep. The only redeeming thing about her actions is that she was trying not to lose her mind while alternating between herself and her other alter ego, Minerva. Unfortunately, we might need to wait many years to see that on big screens, but the show might make more changes to underline the difficulties that face demigods with their godly parents. Another thing that irks Athena about her daughter is that she can observe that Annabeth is becoming friends with Percy, even sacrificing herself for his well-being, and that's the last thing she needs in her life because of the old beef between her and Poseidon. The two divine beings were in a contest after who would be named the new Greek city. Poseidon gave people a well, but the water was salty, and Athena gave them an olive tree, so now we have a city named Athens. Athena also hasn't forgotten the incident with Medusa in her temple, so it comes as no surprise that she also doesn't like Percy. What's more, she's a goddess of wisdom and war strategy and can see that Percy is simply too powerful, and he might pose a serious safety threat. We haven't even met her on screen yet, but the fans can imagine that the goddess won't be the warmest divine being. But it'll be funny to see her face when she learns about her daughter's first time falling in love, but there's a long way until that happens.